On this episode of the podcast, Dave and I tell our tales of woe that have happened to us recently. I go over some camera updates. Dave talks about Nocturne, a nice free alternative to night mode. All that and more on the iPhoneography podcast. It's Monday, February 13th. Welcome to the show. My name is Greg McMillan. I'm joined by my buddy Dave Podner. Hello, David.
Hey, Greg. Yes, Monday the 13th. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
I know the whole
don't go under
Friday the
any ladders.
13th. Yeah, I will say it's Friday the 13th supposed to be a scary thing, but let's be honest. For most people, Monday is scarier than Friday.
Yes.
I
would think so.
If you work a Monday to Friday shift, you hate Mondays and you like Fridays.
Well, you know what? I don't like I'm a shift worker, right? Okay. So
I would say for most Monday to Friday, you're a shift worker.
Yeah.
It's a big
No,
difference.
but you know what? I don't like Monday day shift because it's the first of 4 in a row. And then I don't like Monday night shift because it's the last of 4 in a row.
Oh, okay.
The way my schedule works out. So yeah, Monday the 13th is, I mean, I'm not a superstitious guy, but
no.
Yeah. But Monday the 13th to me is more scarier than a Friday. But anyway, okay, so we'll start with a kind of a funny story. Since our last show, I had okay. Look on your screen, folks. You're going to see a picture of my iMac, my M1 blue 24-inch iMac that I got in 2020, I think, or whenever it was they come out anyway. And what you're looking at is my webcam and then the screen. And right on the screen, you could see stuff. I don't know what it is. Well, I do know what it is, but I didn't know then. And what it was is my screen inside this computer was, as it turns out, I think it was delaminating.
Oh,
yeah. And I didn't have any coverage because the warranty was over, and I didn't put Apple Care on it because it doesn't leave my desk. Right, and I only put Apple Care on things that I carry around. Yes.
Right. You figure it's a desktop. You're not going to spill anything on it like a keyboard.
That's right. I never carried it anywhere. So I put that picture on Twitter to Apple, their Apple support account. And I said, has anybody ever reported an issue like this? So of course, they do what they usually do. They say DM us, and we'll see if we can sort it out.
Okay.
So I DM'd them, and they responded, and they were pretty quick at responding, I must say. So as it turns out, they scheduled a call with somebody from support the next day. Nice gentleman from Austin, Texas calls up, and we talk about what the issue is. I sent him the picture, and lo and behold, they covered it.
Oh,
which made me really happy because I couldn't even imagine what it would cost to replace the screen in this thing.
Just get a new computer,
probably. But anyway,
they would have to take the whole guts apart. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is I explained to him that this thing just sits on my desk, blah blah blah, and he said, well, it sounds like you didn't do anything to it. It just happened. And I said, yes, it happened. It started after it was out of warranty, and it got progressively worse. And here it is. So we have an authorized Apple repair place in town here. Okay. It's not like an Apple store, but they sell Apple products and they do repairs. So perfect. Had an appointment, took it in, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. So then while it's in there, all I've got is my phone, and I've got a little MacBook laptop, but it's one of those models that's obsolete. It's the first 12-inch Retina model that came out.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't really do much with it. I can surf the internet slowly, and that's about it. Check email. So when I've got my phone, and I'm going to put my AirPods in, I'm going to watch some YouTube. I could not find my AirPods anywhere. I looked high and low. I checked the Find My app. It said they were in the house.
Okay.
Wouldn't connect to them though, so that I can you know, do that search thing. You move your phone around, you can find them.
Mm-hmm.
Could not find the darn things anywhere. This was a couple days. I looked high and low, couldn't find them. So I got ticked off and I went and bought a pair of the AirPods 3,
Oh,
which is what I
okay.
got in my ears right now. And the ones I lost were AirPods Pro.
Yeah, they're the higher ends.
Yeah. So the new ones were on sale at like $20 off at a
Oh,
one
okay.
of the retailers in town. So okay, what the heck? Screw it. I'm gonna go buy them. I went and got them. I do actually like them better because they fit better. The
Mm.
um the AirPods Pro have those little uh soft tips that they go right in. You know, they have noise canceling, which is nice, but I hardly ever
Mhm.
used it. So then these ones, they have the spatial audio, all that stuff, you know, basically the
Oh,
same,
okay.
other than the only thing they're missing is the noise canceling. So that's
Okay.
fine.
Which you
Sound
didn't
good.
use, so that's good.
Yeah, so I'm back in
All you
business.
do.
I can watch YouTube, do whatever, you know, wait for my computer to get fixed. So then they call me a few days later to go pick it up, and I go pick up my computer and I put it in the box that it came in. I kept the box, right, in case I needed to
Okay.
transport it
Right.
anywhere because
Right.
it's got a nice handle on it and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm unpacking it, and I take the keyboard, I put the keyboard and the trackpad in with it in case they needed it. And when I took the trackpad out, underneath the trackpad was my AirPods.
Mm. You at least have a backup version. At least have a backup. That's a good
I
thing.
do. I do. I don't know how the heck they got in there. They must have been in my hand for some reason when I put the trackpad in, and I just never thought of it. And I just plopped the trackpad in, and they must have went in with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I couldn't connect to them because they weren't here. And the last known location was here,
Right.
and so that was I thought that was kind of an amusing situation,
Uh,
and just thought I'd
well,
share
it
that.
worked out. What makes it amusing is it worked out.
Yeah, yeah. At least I still got them. I didn't
Yeah.
lose them.
Yeah. And
And
also, it worked out with your screen, also.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's just like brand new. And the guy that
Oh,
does
wow.
the work out there, holy, is he ever good? I looked in the back of this thing because he had to cut around the back where it's glued together.
Mm-hmm.
Not a scratch, not a mark, nothing. It's
Mm.
just like it just come out of the store.
Wow.
The guy is good. So I sent him an email saying, you know, thanks for the
Yeah.
repair work. It looks fantastic, all this stuff. And then I told him the little funny story about that. He says, yeah, I saw them in the box there, and I just thought I'd just leave them there. Oh, why didn't you call me and tell me?
And honestly, that's
Uh,
why Ruth, I don't want to say forbids me because we're both adults, but she's like, you better not buy a headphone over $20
oh yeah.
because I have my little running headphones
Yeah.
that I took off one day after running and they kind of got caught up in my clothes I was wearing because I put my
Hmm.
glove kind of like after a run, I'll put my clothes right in the washer
Yeah.
and the headphones went in the washer. And
Oh
then
yeah.
I ran the load with the headphones in the washer. Didn't
Oh.
find them until after the load was done. Um, they charge up though. I think they work.
Oh really?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Huh.
these are the IP7
Oh, okay.
type.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're supposed to be waterproof and
Yeah. You can wear them in the rain.
exactly. And the little
Yeah.
port down here has a little rubber gasket on it, so it's supposed to keep it all good and safe and everything. So
Well, hey,
no exposed.
they
Yeah,
obviously they must be very waterproof then if they went
yeah,
through a load
yeah,
of wash.
yeah.
But
Well, they also survived the downpour I was in for the half marathon last year too. So
oh yeah.
yeah, so they're getting old. So I bought an air set just as a backup.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so anyway, that's my my tale of
well,
woe for
I have a minor tale of woe myself.
oh yeah.
So woke up one day and the phone wouldn't turn on
Ooh.
at all. Um, I immediately minor panic. Luckily, I had my the alarm set on my watch,
Oh yeah.
so it woke me up so I can get to work. Otherwise, I would have probably woken up like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Instead of waking up at 5:30, I would have woken up at 7:30 or 7 o'clock, and then it's like, what time? Oh, we're supposed to be going into work, and we're supposed to be out the door now. Oh, that's not good. So it was like, okay, this is not working well. This is bad. And I'm going through my head, like, okay, I was doing the dishes and some water splashed on it, but
hmm
nothing that should cause issues.
I
You know,
mean, you could dunk the thing and it'll be fine, but
supposedly, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But like I said, this I've had this over a year. I ran in the rain once or twice. I dropped it once or twice. I have a case on it, so
hmm
there's no scratches or anything. But and it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm thinking, okay, what could happen? Well, battery could have died on me. Screen could
Yeah.
have died on me. Something could have happened.
hmm
I tried using the watch to attack, to make a phone call through the watch.
Oh
Since
yeah.
I don't have a cellular watch, it goes through the phone.
Yeah.
That didn't work. So, made an appointment that night with the local Apple store. Luckily, we have three around us. Two
Oh,
that are
nice.
two that are convenient. One that is not convenient at all. But I was
hmm
able to come home from work, go to the store, walked in. I said, yeah, it turned on. I hit the button to turn it. I hit the buttons to like do a hard reset just in
Yeah.
case.
hmm
Nothing happened. The person said, oh, I've seen this. An update to, I think it was like 16.1.2
Oh yeah.
occasionally cause shutdown errors.
Oh.
And she said, well, just hold on to it. And as she's talking to me, she's holding it. And then it just comes back on again.
Like, was she holding the buttons like to
She
do
was
the
holding the
reset?
button as she's talking to me. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is embarrassing. Because I held down the button just like you were doing. And I thought I held it down for like 30 seconds. I thought I held it down long enough.
You know what?
But
Shane Moston had the same thing happen to
uh,
him.
and she said, well, you know what? Let me run diagnostics since you're here.
Yeah. Oh, might as well.
Yeah. So she did the boop, boop, boop. And it did, okay, nope, everything's good to go. Yep.
Well,
Everything works fine.
bit of a
Everything works
sigh
good in
of
the phone.
relief there.
Yeah. And I mean, it's only a bit over a year old, year and a half,
Yeah.
year and a
Yeah.
half old. So it was under warranty. So it was the biggest inconvenience was driving to the Apple store, waiting, and then driving home. It
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
time issue. And the fact it cost me what, $2, $3 to park,
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
the Apple store is in a neighborhood section. It's not at a mall.
hmm
So no free parking, but it still wasn't that bad. But
Yeah.
she was just so friendly. And it was so easy to go in, just have it looked at, and then just have it checked out.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's
Of
a
course,
good thing it was
that's why we
nothing then,
paid.
really.
Yeah, but I mean, that's one of the reasons I hate to say it, it's one of the reasons we pay more money for Apple stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
I
Yeah,
mean, you
like
have the
Shane had the same
built-in,
thing.
service and support where,
Yeah.
depending, you may not have such luck with other devices.
Yeah. And here's a tip, folks. When you get Apple Care, get it from Apple. Don't get it from, like, when I bought these AirPods to replace my sort of lost other AirPods, the guy at the store, it wasn't an Apple store.
Right.
It was a store called The Source. It's a chain that
Oh,
they
okay.
sell Apple stuff.
I think I've
And
heard of them. Yeah.
yeah, he said, "Would you like to get Apple Care?" I said, "No, thanks," because you got 30 days to think about it, right?
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to put it on them, but I just didn't want to get it through them because I've heard, and I heard this from Alex Lindsay on MacBreak Weekly. He said, if you're going to get Apple Care, get it from Apple directly. Don't get it from a third party store or retailer or whatever. Because if I'd have bought it from that store and something happened to them, I'd have to take it back to that store
Mm.
in order to get it dealt with. But
Huh.
because I got it from Apple, directly from
You can go to
Apple,
you
then
go
I
right
can
to
go right
Apple.
to them.
Yeah.
And you get, obviously better service, probably faster and everything else. So, little tip there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our tales of woe. It was an experience, but it's fixed now.
Yep.
I got 2 sets of AirPods. And,
There you go.
I guess you could say fixing this computer cost me a couple $100, but better than the alternative.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into the program here. We're going to talk about, Dave's got an app he's going to talk about that looks pretty cool. I won't say what it is just yet. Well, I guess I could, because if you read the notes on the podcast app, you're going to realize that it's Nocturne, and basically an astrophotography app. And so we'll get to that shortly. But I'm just going to go over real quickly here some updated apps. There's 3 camera apps that got updates. And the first one is Pro Camera. Now, I used to use this app a lot before Halide came out. And then,
Mm.
it's no secret that I was a big Halide fan for years. And what their app update is it's completely redesigned. Like the UI has been completely redesigned, and features that work together. So what I mean by that is,
Hmm.
if you want to set the white balance manually, when you tap the white balance button, you get white balance sliders on the screen. If you want to adjust the shutter speed, you get or say if you want to manually expose, you get ISO and shutter speed sliders. And you'll get this, if go watch David Addison's review on this, because he's done a really, probably the best made video I've ever seen from him on this update. And there'd be a link in the show notes. And so, if you're going to manual focus, then there's a manual focus slider. Everything adapts in the UI to what you're going to do. And the other nice thing about it is the say you hit the white balance button, anything on the screen that has to do with adjusting the white balance turns like a blue color. So when and everything else will be white, or like a light gray or whatever. So everything works, in tune with itself, for lack of better words, in the UI. So it's a really, really, really cool update. The reason I stopped using this app so much in the past was because I felt it got a little too busy with all its features. But with this update, it really simplifies the UI experience. Excuse me. And it just makes it really nice. So that's the one update. Another update is Camera M, which is another really well-designed camera app. It has now got the like with the 14 Pro phones, you got the 2x focal length, so the 48 millimeter focal length. They've added that in, and it works just the same as the Apple camera app. I'm assuming it just uses that center part of the sensor, just like the Apple camera app. And it's the first one that I've known to actually be able to do that. I'm not sure. I'm going to take a quick look here at Reflex to see if they've got that. I don't know if they do or not. I don't think so. No, they haven't got the 2 times yet.
Okay.
They just got the 48 megapixel and the 12 megapixel options there. But but yeah, the Camera M, beautifully designed app, has a 2x focal length put in. And then finally, Halide, they've also added a 2 times focal length, but what they've done is they've done it with what they call neural telephoto. So it works on non-pro phones or iPhones that don't have a zoom. So you can get a 2 times zoom on, say, like an iPhone SE that has a single camera, or an iPhone 10R. I'm not sure what it does with the 10 and the 10s. I haven't tried it yet, but what it does, it just gives you that 2 times zoom factor, and it uses like machine learning and whatnot. So basically, it's kind of like what they've done with their macro feature. And what they've done is they've used machine learning and AI and whatever
Hmm.
to produce the image. And you'll when you capture a shot, you'll get the zoomed in um, image, but you'll only get it in JPEG or hike. If you shoot
Okay.
with RAW and JPEG, the JPEG will be zoomed, but the RAW will be just like an unzoomed normal RAW photo.
Hmm.
That's the same thing happens when you use their macro feature. When you shoot a macro shot with halide, you get the macro shot, but only in JPEG or hike. And if you shoot RAW and JPEG, you get the full resolution RAW. So be mindful of that. You know, you're not going to get a RAW or a Pro RAW with the with this 2 times zoom out of halide. It just won't happen. It's just not the way it's made. So a few nice updates there, and I think all three of these camera apps are really nice, well designed, and I'm not sure what the pricing is of them and all that stuff. I know Halide's gone subscription.
Yeah.
I don't know about Camera M. I'm not sure about Pro Camera, but
You know what? While you're looking at it, let me look it up here because I don't think I have either.
'cause I had them open in a
Oh,
browser. Camera M is $7.99. I'm looking on the
no, actually, I did have it. Actually, I did download it probably when it was free.
oh yeah. Yeah. So now I'm showing well, it says the US store, I guess. So it was $7.99 for camera M.
Hmm.
For Pro Camera, $13.99, and it has in-app purchases, which is a vivid HDR mode is one of them for $3.99. You got night camera and long exposure for $3.99. Um, Pro Camera up yearly access, it says, for $7.49.
Hmm.
So it looks like there might be some subscription stuff, but if 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 you use Pro Camera and if you use it a lot, it's $31.99 for a one-time purchase, and it's worth it, in my opinion, because uh, that's what I did with Halide and a couple other apps that I use a lot. I'll do the one-time purchase, so I don't have to worry about a subscription. I've got it. I'm not going to lose
Hmm.
it. I'll get all the updates, the whole 9 yards. So, um, but these apps, take a good look at them if you've never seen them before. There's links in the show notes to each one of them in the App Store, and uh, these are some pretty nice updates. And also Halide, I'll put a link to a video that Ben Sandowski did in the Galapagos. He took, I think it was an iPhone. I forget which iPhone he took with him, but he did a video about how this focal length works and all this stuff. And um, it's an interesting video. It's kind of a cool thing, looking at some of the wildlife and stuff down there. They're all friendly and whatnot. So, but yeah, have a look at them and some pretty good updates there. All right, so David,
Yes.
Nocturne.
Nocturne, yes. Now, this is an app I originally downloaded when I had my iPhone 10.
Okay.
And when people started to come out, Apple started to come out with like the 11, and they were saying, "Oh, look how great night pictures you can take, and it's so much better in dark in the dark." And if you're stuck with, I don't want to say stuck with the 10, but if you're with the 10, you're like, "Well, I can't do that." So
Yeah.
Nocturne was put out saying, "Hey, we can do something similar. Not as nice, not as snazzy, but we can do something where we take very long images, we stack them, we deal with them, and then you can get good photos out of them."
Hmm.
So when I got my 13, I was like, "Well, obviously I don't need that anymore because I have the built-in camera app."
Hmm.
Well, last couple times I've been trying to take really dark images. I I don't want to say unhappy with it. It's just not. There just something just didn't look 100% as well as I wanted it to. Maybe my standards are a little bit off, or expectations, I should say. But then one night I was taking pictures. I'm like, wait a minute, you have this Nocturne app.
Mm-hmm.
Give this a try. And it's one of those things where if you don't use a camera, if you don't use an app for a while, it downloads, but the icon's still there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I was able to re-download it, and I gave it a try. And now it's I don't know how. I haven't done research in terms of how it handles the long exposure.
Okay.
This is something you do need a tripod, or it needs to be secure.
Yeah.
I the pictures I took, I put it. We have a little lamp. We have a light out in the front yard, and there's a area around it where there's a little like gravelly area with the railroad ties kind of in the box. So
Right. Yeah.
I can put the phone there and make it where the shutter is still, I can still reach the shutter, but it's there and it's kind of leaned up. So it's nice and stable.
Mm-hmm.
And because Nocturne takes a minute to take photos.
It takes a minute.
It takes a minute. So
Oh,
it does a
wow.
minute exposure. That's what I'm saying. I know iPhones cannot do true minute exposures, but it can basically do kind of like a video and adding and stacking on top. So, and actually, bring up, because I'm gonna bring up one of my photos for the week, because I used Nocturne on that. Actually, if you could bring up the unedited one first.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last one I took.
Yeah.
And this was just taken. This was like around a minute long, to be honest.
Yeah, and it'll be on your screen, folks, if you
Yep.
look at your podcast app.
And it was just it was a little windy. So there were some atmospheric issues, but it was a clear night. No moon out. So lucky about that.
Mm-hmm.
Still my normal kind of issue with that, light pollution, everything else going on. But I just let it go. And this is what came right out of the camera without anything else going on. I'm trying to see. Yeah. When I look for the, information on here, it just says save as JPEG, 3 megapixel, 2.4 megabytes. No additional information, unfortunately.
Right.
But it did pick up, at least in my mind, it picked up the sky, especially for going for a minute. There's not much of a blur going on here. This is a picture of basically you have the Orion constellation on your left.
Mm-hmm.
And if you follow the arrow on the Orion's belt, to the right of the screen, you have the V, which I actually did have to look this up. That's I think that was either Taurus or Aries. I've never been great for Orion's the easiest because you can see like the shoulders, the knees, the belt, and that's the easiest thing. But you got to think like this is a goat, and you see like, okay, I don't see that. I can't make that image in my head. But if you go a little bit further up, you can see it looks like a little bit of a cluster, a foggy cluster there. Yeah, on the right.
Yeah, I see
that's
that.
The Pleiades. Yeah, that's the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters.
Oh, okay.
So that's actually, now if you bring up the edited photo, which I did in Photoshop Mobile, you can see things a lot clearer.
Right.
I did some editing in terms of it still has a bluish tinge, which it did not have a bluish tinge in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried to deal with that as best as I could because, you're dealing with adjusting and trying to get rid of I didn't want to over sharpen it and make it too messy, but it turned out really well, I think.
Yeah.
Again, you have to be definitely not handheld. Definitely not a handheld thing.
Yeah. So this was going to be one of the ones that we talked about in our recent photos, but if there's anything else you want to say about it now, then we'll do this.
I figured this will flow. This will flow nicely because, like I said, this is one of the reasons I picked it was like I said, when you look at the edited photo, it's very clear. The details I think turned out really well.
Hmm.
Especially given the night sky that I'm dealing with. If you notice on the bottom right, there's a little bit of haze where because
Yeah,
that's
yeah. It's
that's
hard to get
street
rid of that at
lights.
the best of times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's there's street. Literally, this is my front street, so there's street lights. There's lights from houses. There's
Hmm.
lights from houses a couple blocks over. Other street lights that are going on. Of course, if I was out in the middle of nowhere with no lights, I'm sure I can get a much better picture.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would just really, like I said, this is not because I have taken decent photos handheld with the built-in camera app at
Yeah.
night because you
You
can
know,
get 3 seconds by.
yeah,
This you
and I
definitely need a tripod though.
yeah, because I guess they haven't been able to tap into the stabilization, which I
Yeah,
don't know if any app can do a night shot stabilized like night mode does.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I don't think there is. But yeah, I mean, you can really see Orion and that little cluster there.
Yeah,
All the stars all look so very vibrant,
yeah,
and yeah, sure, it's edited, but I mean, even in the unedited version, I didn't think they were too bad.
no, no.
It's just got
So
that purpley look to it. But once you run it through Lightroom Mobile, then yeah, it really brings it out.
oh, it's
So
all
I see there's a watermark on there.
right, right, and
I
you can
guess
get
that's
rid of
just
that with payment.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah. So you know what though, I'm pretty happy with that's $3 to get rid of it.
yeah.
To get rid of it. So, um, to be honest though, I don't, especially where it is on the photo. It's not really. It's on the bottom left,
Yeah,
and
it's not too intrusive.
yeah, it's not too intrusive. So
Yeah.
honestly, if I have no problem doing this as advertising for the app versus paying for it,
Hmm.
you know, it's really not that bad. Now they are saying, and I was looking to see if there was the latest version here, and I don't know.
I'm
That
looking at
says
the
there's been an
version
update
history.
to allow to identify constellation, galaxies, nebula, and planets. Now, I don't know if it's here. Leaves alone after integrates the by selecting viewing options in the overlay tab, which I did not see. But supposedly there's ways that it can actually point out on the photo you took
Hmm.
that
Well, I took one just of my desk
yeah,
underneath the shelf behind the computer here, and I must have paid to get rid of the
yeah.
watermarks because there's no watermark on it,
Well,
and
like I said, it's not a horrible price to get a whatever. It's a one
yeah,
time.
oh yeah,
So it's not like you're paying, um, you know, you're not paying $2.99 a month like some apps.
right,
This is a one-time purchase, so that's not horrible bad.
yeah.
Okay,
Now,
yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like I don't know why I didn't notice this. The developer is Unistellar, so maybe I don't. Maybe it's only on the newer version. I just didn't notice it after I took it. But like I said, supposedly after you take the picture, it will actually say this is the constellation with an overlay.
okay,
So you can
yeah,
see exactly what you're doing with here. So it makes it easier to deal with constellations. So I don't know, like I said, I have to play with that a little bit more.
yeah. Now, is 3 megapixels the largest you can get out of it?
I think
I'm
so because
looking.
the way I think it's really doing it, to be honest, is it's doing it off of it's doing it kind of using video.
Oh, okay.
So, well, at least that's my guess. That's why I was trying to actively see if I could see some details on how it works,
Hmm.
other than pieces telling us about their features, which is nice, but I kind of want to know, like, uh,
Yeah, because I'm looking at the app description and it doesn't
yeah,
say anything about a restricted
yeah,
file size at the end of it all. But the one I did, just just setting it on my desk and letting it take a picture of my silly external hard drives in the dark here behind it. It came up as 3 megapixel.
okay,
But I mean, still,
yeah.
plenty big
I mean,
enough for
honestly,
putting on Instagram or whatever.
yeah. I mean, it turned out. I mean, if you look at the photo, and if you look on screen, or like I said, I posted it to Instagram and Twitter and all the usual places. The quality's pretty dark. I don't know how it would look printed out, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking it would look pretty good because I'm looking at it on my iMac screen that's 27 inches,
Hmm.
and it looks pretty sharp, and it's pretty much it's like a normal full size page
Yeah.
on the sides of the screen. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking it would turn out pretty darn good, and it is
I'm
free,
oh
so
yeah.
definitely worth a try.
Yeah,
Definitely worth a try.
I'm looking at a review here on the App Store, and the first review, it's a 5-star review. It says amazing, and it says I was able to click Milky Way photos. You just need to edit a bit.
Okay, yeah,
So hey, give it a try, folks. It's free. Why not? Um, love the app. Okay, here's another one that says I love the app, but I'm a little upset it doesn't capture full resolution and adds watermark to the photo. Okay, well, free is
yeah,
the watermark, but um, now there's a developer response, but it doesn't say anything uh, about the resolution. It just says that thank you for your feedback. Nocturne is a free app, hence the watermark. So, I mean, it says right in the app description, if you want to get rid of the watermark, give them $3, and
yeah,
you know that's pretty cheap, really, when you think about it, because um, and I've always said, these developers, it's their bread and butter. So
right.
if it's something you're going to use a lot, don't
Yeah.
hesitate to throw a few bucks the guy's way, and bought a
And
shrunk
I
with
would
it.
also say that also, um, if you post it when you post it on social media,
Hmm.
tag him on the thing.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah. Why
mean,
not?
because it's I like when I take a photo, I like people to know what I used
Yep.
because I know personally when I see someone take a photo, I like to know, okay, what did you use to make it look that way? Did you use any apps? What did you take it with? What editing did you do? I kind of like to know that. That's
Yeah.
why I use the hashtags I do when I post, but
Yep.
also saying, hey, here's the app I used. If you kind of like to look at this, you can try using these apps too.
Hmm.
They're pretty good apps.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah,
Yeah. I do the same thing. I'll tag in whatever app I take the picture with or edit it with or whatever. Like I'll put that hashtag in. So yeah. So well, this is cool. I mean,
yeah,
it's for if you have a phone that can't do night mode, give this app a try,
yeah,
and go to town, and do your homework, do your look for the light pollution. I forget what the app or the website's called
yeah.
that
But you can
Shane
just you
uses.
can I would say you can just look up light pollution.
Yeah, if you look up light pollution
Yeah,
map and you'll
yep,
find this website that shows, look for where you are, and or where you're going to be when you take a picture, and it'll tell you what the light room or the light pollution is. And obviously, if you're in the red, well, that's no good. That's too bright. But if you're in a darker color zone or whatever, I forget how it works now, but um, you know do your homework on your Bortle reading or whatever, Bortle scale.
mm-hmm.
I think it's the higher the number, the better. I'm not sure. It's been so long since I've looked at it, um, but obviously, a picture like this, like you did good to get it in your neighborhood, and
Yeah,
for me, it would probably be the same way. I've got street lights and everything else where I am too, but I'm fortunate enough that I live in a place where I could take a 10-minute drive and be out in almost pitch dark conditions. So um, basically, the darker the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. Well, that's a cool app to talk about. And
Hmm.
um, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try again because I've got it on my phone. I had to download it again. Like you said, it's got that little download icon.
Hmm.
Um, so I downloaded it again and I'll give it a go. I'll see what I could do with it sometime. If we ever have a clear sky at night. We've
Yeah.
been a lot of clouds here lately. But okay, well, on that note, we will step into our recent photos. And let's see here. Okay, so we basically covered your one of your
My
images,
Scott.
which
Yep.
was the one you took with Nocturne.
Hmm.
So let's just carry on with your other ones then.
Okay.
The 16 by 9 one.
Okay.
Um, we'll do that one next.
Okay. The one with the red umbrellas in front
Umbrellas?
of the boathouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one and the next one I'm going to do was they were taken after um kind of how we're joking. We had a morning worth of winter so far
Oh
this
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I know like our friend Matt Hoffman, who we had with Tiny Shutter, he's same thing in Ohio. I know out west they're having a lot more snow, but if you're in the eastern part of the US,
Hmm.
I think Pittsburgh's had 11 inches of snow this year.
Wow.
It is, and
That's
we're
not
like,
much.
no, no, we have had almost no, we've had one or two snows. I mean, snows that worth anything that
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
impact travel, which, traveling to work isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's still, you're missing, winter is not happening
Hmm. Yeah.
except for this morning.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, morning that I took the pictures, I should say.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was an early Saturday morning. I had a 5K race, Groundhog 5K. Race time temperatures were around 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Luckily, the winds were almost non-existent. That's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Wind chill was still 0 Fahrenheit, so it was still bone cold.
Yeah.
Um, and the weird thing is, like 2 or 3 days before, or 2 days before, we were above freezing. 2 days
Oh
after,
yeah.
we were above freezing.
Oh wow.
But we just had a down hard snap, cold snap, and back up and warm again.
Yeah.
So that morning, after the race, I walked around the lake a little bit and was in the lake part started to freeze over because it was that cold.
Yeah.
And just got this, like I said, there's a 16 by 9 photo. This is the boathouse here. So there's a restaurant in here with where the red umbrellas are. That's a restaurant area.
Hmm.
And you can see the yellow canoes there,
Yeah.
where when it's actually warmer, you can rent a canoe and go out on the lake and paddle around a little bit.
Oh nice.
Yeah, this is one of our county parks.
Oh yeah.
And there's a walking, well, a lot of people, I don't want to say scoff, but there's a trail that's actually kind of like the side of the road that goes around the lake. It's a 5 mile loop
Oh yeah.
around the lake. And it's really nice in terms of since it's part of the road, it's paved, it's flat-ish sort of, as flat as we can get around here.
Hmm.
So it's not that bad to walk or jog on. You're not going up a steep hill in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
And right on it's a Lakeshore Drive. Um, you get a view of the boathouse, and I was able to get it with the lake mostly frozen over, with the evergreens right there, and the kind of hill on the left, which no, the deciduous trees obviously all brown stick,
Yeah.
but
Stick season.
but there was still snow on the ground.
Yeah, and that kind of makes it nice.
Is that yeah? And it was a crystal. You can tell it was a relatively clear sky. It was
Yep.
not overcast. So this is not one of those fake skies that I put in every so often. This is
I
a
was
real
gonna
one.
ask.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask.
Yep. No, no, no. This is a real sky. So this is
Yeah.
really what it looked like.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it was during the run. You're able to keep warm because obviously you're moving, you're running, you're moving around.
Hmm.
Afterwards, you start getting cold.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You really start to feel it.
Hmm. Yeah. As
So,
I've I've hiked or whatever out in the
mhm,
cold weather and that, and it's great when you're going, but as soon as you stop,
yeah,
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 the chill sets in.
yeah.
So this ice, obviously, it's not going to be thick enough you can walk on
No,
because it's only
no,
been a
couple
day or
days or
so that
day or
it's
so. Yeah,
used, like crystallized over or whatever.
yeah.
Um, so, but that's what I really like you can see on the surface of the ice as if it's coming towards where you were standing, like the wind swept look of the
Hmm.
snow over that thin layer of ice, and that really adds texture, I guess you could say,
Hmm.
to the ice. So it gives it um, a little more character, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
to the image. And and taking it on a dull day would have been a fail, I think. So it's nice that it was a sunny day,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things where you think taking a picture on a bright sunny day is not going to make for a good shot, but this actually works because
Right.
there's enough color in the building with the umbrellas and the canoes,
Hmm.
and then the blue sky and the green on the pines, that it still makes it interesting. And I also like the little bit of reflection in the open water,
Yeah.
um, right. I guess it's where the land comes out and then back in again,
Hmm.
and you can see the uh I don't know if they're pillars or just
Yeah.
stone parts anyway,
Hmm.
just nicely reflected in that water, and
Yeah.
there's enough interest in it to make it a good photo,
Yeah.
and I like it. So you
And
can.
the next one was taken on the same day. This was this is on the other side of the lake.
Okay.
So originally, this was a gatehouse when this was originally built in, I think, the 1930s.
Hmm.
So now it's not used for. I don't know what it's used for anymore. I just like I like the look of it, especially the roof where you can tell that it's showing its age.
Yeah, yeah.
It's definitely showing its age here, where there's only a little bit of the red terracotta that is still bright red.
Hmm.
Everything else is kind of burnt out, even though you can see the weather vane on top still. That's still
Yeah.
standing there.
Hmm.
And you have the fence going, but you can't go out there, unfortunately, for
Oh, is
safety.
that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Where on the right, where the stone is,
Yeah.
that there's actually a gate there that's locked.
Oh, okay.
So I think if and the window's open here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, really.
So I think this is maybe part of a mechanical system or maintenance. They use it maybe as for maintenance.
Oh, yeah.
But it's enough that you can also see in the water. This is clear water area, but you can see just around it. You get further away into the water, you can start seeing where it's starting to freeze over.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I
I,
mean,
yeah.
even at the right at the bottom of the frame, it looks like it's very, very lightly frozen over.
Hmm.
Um, that's where deep fusion kicked in and picked up that texture. And I like that reflection. That is so cool. Now the green, what would that be the result of?
I think
Like,
that's more
would it
just a
be?
reflection. Yeah, I think that because you can see the blue, and the
Mhm.
green is kind of where it's reflecting the actual structure itself underneath.
Oh, so would it be like plant life in the water making it that color?
Or it just could just be the way it's reflecting, maybe a little polarization going on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now the yellow is real yellow, I
Hmm.
don't think it's spray. Well, it could be spray paint for
Oh
unfortunately,
yeah, yeah. Who knows, right?
yeah. Because a lock or something like that really wouldn't stop anyone, especially if it's a warmer day. You don't worry about going into the ice.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that's just honestly, I think it's kind of a shadow for the blue, and it
Oh
just
yeah.
looks greenish because I had to do some adjusting on here too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's you know, the roof of that structure is it looks like it's absolutely riddled with bird droppings,
Yeah.
and that's probably what's eaten away at
Eating
the
away of
color of the
everything. Yeah.
terracotta. Yeah. Um, and hey, it gives it character. Kind of reveals a little bit about how long it's been sitting there
Mm-hmm.
dormant, really. And and then when you look on the little bridge that goes out to it, the vines that are growing out from between those rocks, like how does this even happen, right? But hey, I've seen ferns growing out of a rock face before, so talk about resilience.
That's true.
But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you
but
could have little things starting to go there and um, just kind of grabbing on in the wind.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. It's another uh, it's another great photo taken on a bright sunny day, but there's
Mm-hmm.
enough stuff in it, enough that, especially with the reflection, to make it very interesting and not just a typical snapshot, in my opinion.
Oh,
So yeah,
thanks,
that's
man.
pretty cool. All righty. Okay, so my three, the first one is the plant in the house, and I took this shortly after listening or watching David Addison's review on Pro Camera that I talked about earlier. And I sent him a text and I said, "Damn you, Addison. You made me open Pro Camera again, and I like it." So this is basically just a raw file that I took of this Hoya plant that we have sitting by the window. And I guess what drew me to took the shot in the first place was I used the 3 times camera, the telephoto camera, and just the way the light, the natural light was coming through the window, lighting up these waxy leaves, and I don't know, the way the light caught it is was what made me take it. And I mean, it's just a house plant. I normally wouldn't take a picture of it. Um, unless I was experimenting, and that's basically what I was doing here. Was I was trying the app out, trying some of the features and stuff that David pointed out in the video. And I mean, we've even got a fake butterfly up near the top of it. And if you look just at the top of the planter the pot that it's in, there's a glass ball there with a stem that goes down into the dirt, and we fill that ball up with water,
Oh,
and
okay. I see it. Yeah.
it slowly keeps watering the plant for us. So the water just comes out when it needs it, apparently. So we got a few of them in different plants around the house, but yeah, it's just simply a Hoya plant. And the interesting thing about these plants is they only flower, I think it's once every 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've only seen flowers on this thing maybe 3 times. And it'll be interesting to see when they come out again. I mean, now that I have some macro lenses and all that stuff, I can get hopefully a half decent shot of these. And they're very small. They're in clusters, but they're very small. And they look pretty cool when the little petals open up. They look like little
Hmm.
stars with white stars with little red centers. And and the only downfall of that is they smell bad. Oh, they have an awful
Oh,
odor to them.
that's horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
I was going to say
So,
horrible, but it's bad that.
oh, no, it's horrible, Dave.
Okay. I mean, just to have a nice flower and it's like, oh, look at that. Oh,
I know. At least, I don't know. Like, there's different variants of the Hoya plant, and this one here, anyway. And I mean, the last time they flowered, there was this, odor that came off the flowers,
hmm.
and so maybe that's a good thing. They only does it once every 7 years. My next one
Oh,
is ducks, and as Shane Mawson would say, this is the duck's nuts. So we were walking down at the park, and I don't believe it was snowing when we started walking. We were taking the dog for a walk, and then, of course, all of a sudden it starts snowing, and there wasn't really a lot of interesting things to take pictures of that day. It was overcast the whole 9 yards. All this snow's coming down, but I saw these ducks swimming around. There was a bridge, a walking bridge. So I get on the walking bridge. Actually, I think I went right over the other side of the walking bridge where these ducks were, and I just took a shot of them. I think again with the telephoto lens. But I cropped this down into like a panoramic style thing, just to have the ducks, not too much of the stuff that didn't matter above or below in the frame there. So,
Hmm.
and then in darkroom, I put a filter on this, and it was one of the cinematic filters, I think. I used
Hmm.
the
Okay.
one that brought out the color of the ducks the most. I mean, I tried
Hmm.
all the different ones, but this particular filter, I forget which one it is, but it brought out the color of the ducks the most. And then all I did over and above that was extra saturation and vibrance, and to bring out the like they're mallard ducks, so the
Hmm.
males have the nice green heads and the bright yellow beaks, and I just wanted to really emphasize that.
And it's really hard to get snow to pick up the snowflakes coming down.
Yeah,
And you did
yeah,
a good. I mean, it picked it up nicely here. It almost sparkles with the snow.
yeah. And they were it was kind of thick. Like, by the time we got back to the car, we had to brush our coats off,
Hmm.
before we got in the car. So it was coming down pretty good. But yeah, I was kind of happy the way it turned out. When I first looked at it, I thought, yeah, it was just one of those pictures. When we're out walking the dog in the park or wherever we are, I always hand the dog leash over to my wife, and I get my phone
Okay.
out and I just start snapping stuff. And sometimes I come away with, something I like, and other times I'll think, you know, boring. But I got looking at this and I thought, maybe there's something I can do with it, because I'll be honest with you, Dave, I haven't had a lot of interesting pictures that I've taken since our last show, and I needed to get
Hmm.
something to put on here tonight.
No, understand. Hey, it
Yeah.
happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I went out on my way after the race thinking, because normally it's like, okay, I'm done with the race, time to head on home, get shower, get, right, try and do the rest of the day. And it was like, this is going to be a good chance for me to get some photos. Take your time. You know, you're
Yeah.
freezing, but I brought a sweat top with me to put on afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you may be freezing, just get a couple of photos. The car's close by, you're not going to freeze. Take the
Yeah. Yeah.
time.
Yep.
especially with the lake frozen over. It's like, okay, you're how many times are you going to be up here when the lake's actually frozen over?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Hopefully not
Um,
many.
yeah, you've got to embrace that, when it
Exactly.
comes along.
Yeah.
And so, speaking of that, that kind of leads me into my third one, where we were out at my parents' place, and on their deck, on the back of the house, my dad put this bird feeder, and it is literally 5 or 6 feet away from the patio door in the back of the house. And
Oh, okay, that helps.
these gorgeous
Ooh.
yellow and gray and black birds they're called evening grosbeaks. And typically they come around in the fall for a few days, and then you don't see them again until the next fall, sometime in October. These guys have been around the house every day since October, and that's generally unheard of.
Hmm.
So the ones with the bright yellow are the males, and there's a in the background behind that one perched on the thing there uh, is a female. They're a lot less colorful,
Okay, which is
which is typical of the bird
mhm,
species, right?
right.
So when they were coming in and out, they were fluttering about, coming to the feeder, taking off, coming to the feeder, taking off. So I held my phone on the 3 times zoom up against the patio door so I could keep it still, and I started a burst. And I took 193 pictures in a burst so that I can get at least a good
Sometimes
one
you
of
gotta do
them.
that. I guess you, especially with fast moving subject like this, you kind of have to do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would have missed the shot had I just tried to get it single shot. So yeah, so I took that burst, and I actually got probably, well, I don't know. I don't know how many I got out of that burst, whether I got any other good ones or not. But I got two that were kind of good with the birds actually in flight, right there at the feeder. So in this particular
Mm-hmm.
shot, there's two of them coming in, and the one in the foreground, you can see. I mean, they're not perfectly sharp, but they're they're good enough for entertainment. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, you
Like
could
I
tell
would,
the sorry, you could tell at least the one one coming towards us that's a little bit clearer. You can see the
yeah.
claw, the red claws on its feet, kind of
Hmm.
tucked underneath, getting ready for landing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and I'm shooting through two panes of glass too. That's the
Well,
other
yeah.
thing about it. So, I mean, I was happy they turned out as well as they
Mm-hmm.
did. But just to get them in action, I thought that was pretty cool. There's oh gosh, my parents have I don't know how many different kinds of birds coming to this feeder at any given day. Like
Mm.
obviously lots of finches and chickadees. There's the odd woodpecker comes around. Um, Cardinals, Orioles, depending on the time of year, these birds, like it's just crazy.
Mm.
Um, he had two of these two of these
Oh,
birdhouses
okay.
up. My uncle came over one time and said, "Oh, can you build me one?" And I'll tell you what, here's a screwdriver, take it off the deck and it's yours. So that's why
Oh,
there's only one
okay.
left. But he called it the condos, the bird condos. But uh but yeah, it was fun to be able to sit there. Just I think I took that one was 193 bursts. I took another one that was 150 something. So I did a few different ones to try to make sure I got a good shot. And you know there's a tip right there. If you're going to try to get birds, dogs, cats, any kind of thing like that, like you say, Dave, that's going to move quickly,
Mm-hmm.
just go on to burst. And I mean, you could sit on burst mode until the camera stops shooting, which is I think 600 frames or something now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it's if you're just shooting JPEG, let me see, was I shooting JPEG or RAW?
Oh, you have to
If you
shoot JPEG on burst. You
Oh,
can't
do
do
you?
raw on burst. I don't think you can do raw on burst
Oh, okay.
because it takes too long, so we can't do it.
Yeah,
Just like you can't do live photo on raw, you can't do different things on raw. Some
right.
things force you to do JPEG.
Okay, so I just took a burst sitting at the desk here.
Or why
And
say watch you shoot? Prove me wrong here.
well, I did it and I had raw turned on, but now, okay, I'm looking at the image and it is, I believe, JPEG.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It's JPEG. Yeah. So even if you got raw turned on, you're only going to get a JPEG burst. So
Right.
that's good to know. I wasn't sure about that. So, but yeah, birds. So,
Which is not the easiest thing to take.
no, oh no. I mean, typically the iPhone is not good for bird photos unless
No.
they're captive or in captivity, close up, that sort of thing.
Right.
But
Like the
that's
time I took the photo of the we went to the aviary last year, and
oh
those
yeah,
birds are very still. They come right up to you. They just walk along with you. They'll fly right over your head,
yeah, yeah,
which makes a big difference.
yeah. And there's a raptor conservancy not too far. Well, when I say not too far from here, it's about 2 or 3 hour drive or whatever. But the guy that runs it is a photographer.
Oh,
So
okay.
these are birds like hawks and eagles and all this stuff that are in captivity here. And you can, if like, okay, so the camera club that I'm in, they booked a time and went down and had the whole place to themselves. And I didn't go because I had to work, but they got all these pictures of these birds. And the guy that owns this place, like I said, he's a photographer. So
Hmm.
all the backdrops are very
Oh,
photogenic, trees
okay.
and
So he
stuff like
went out of
that.
his way. It sounds like he went out of his way to
Yeah.
make it look
And
that way.
it makes it look like they're in their natural habitat.
Oh,
So
wow.
that makes it, really fun for photography. And apparently you can get close enough to these things. Like I could stand 3 feet from a bald eagle and get its picture. So I'd love to go to this place and try that.
Wow.
they'll just sit there, and then
Huh.
he'll have somebody hold up a piece of food or something like that, and then they'll just start flying. So a lot of the people in the camera club that took these pictures got pictures of them just taking off the post, so their wings are spread open and all this stuff, and oh, they're absolutely gorgeous photos. So that's one way that you can do bird photography. But typically shooting birds out in wildlife, not going to happen. It's just
Yeah.
you're not going to get the reach. We won't go into that.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, like I said, we talked about last time, you have to know the limitation of your device.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So that's our
Well,
recent photos.
well, you know what? Before we move on to
Hmm.
closing the show, I just saw an alert come up. So if you use Google Photos as a backup, which I know a lot of people do because it's cross-platform and it's really easy.
Hmm.
Apparently, it's crashing under 16.3.1, which was released earlier today.
Oh, really?
So, suggestion from I'm seeing from 9 to 5 Mac saying keep an eye out for fixes for your Google. It just says crashes, so it
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
kill your photos. It just crashes the app. So hopefully
Okay.
Google will fix the app
Yeah.
and whatever caused it to crash. Hopefully they play. Hopefully the two giants will learn to play a little nice and get a
Yeah,
fix
really.
for us.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, if it all of a sudden you notices that Google Photos and you've updated is crashing left and right,
Hmm.
it isn't you. It's something. I don't want to say it's
Yeah.
Google. Don't want to say it's Apple because no one knows. It's something.
Yeah. Well, that's just one of those deals, where an update comes out, and I've updated, but I haven't found anything yet that's going to
Right.
crash. I don't use Google
I
Photos,
say you
but I
don't use
mean,
Google Photos. Yeah.
no, but none of the other apps that I've opened have
Okay.
crashed.
It may be a privacy thing, to be honest,
It could
because
be,
I can
yeah,
see Google Photos having that issue, to be honest.
yeah. So, I mean, I guess the point is that I was going to make is sometimes it's good to wait a day or two to update.
Yeah.
My wife, she generally waits like a week or whatever before she updates her phone, um, or maybe take that long to remind her. But uh, but yeah, sometimes waiting kind of pays off a little bit. So
Hmm.
okay, so again, another thing before we tie it off for the night, stay tuned, folks, because uh, I, and hopefully Dave, if he's available, will be interviewing Rick Salmon on the show. Now, Rick Salmon, he started a Facebook group called Explorers of Life, Life, and he was a Canon photographer. Now, Canon has this, I like to call it an elite group of photographers that they call
Hmm.
Explorers of Life photographers, or of not life, of light, Explorers of Light.
Okay.
And these are generally high-end pro photographers who, uh, you know, travel the world and all this stuff. And Rick is one of those guys. And he started this group, and it's just for iPhones, or there's probably some Android shooters in there too, because he has just started shooting with his iPhone. Um, Now his wife has been shooting with an iPhone for about 10 years, and I think she's finally convinced him that hey, you might want to give this a try, because he's starting to use it now, and he right now, I think he is in, I'm not sure if it's Florida or where it is, but he's at a Kelby One um, uh, thing where he's putting a presentation on, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's about shooting with the iPhone. So he's going to be on the show in a few weeks. He's going to Morocco on March 1st for a couple of weeks. And the only thing he's taking with him as far as photography gear goes is his iPhone.
Wow.
So when he gets back, we're going to have a chat with him about that trip,
Hmm.
and how he made it with his iPhone, and so it should be a really good one. I'm really looking forward to it,
Yeah.
and I hope you can make it, Dave, because it's on a time and day that we don't normally record. So
Right. Right.
um,
Well, like I said,
we'll
sometimes, especially when you have guests on, you have to work around their schedule.
Yeah, and this is what
Yeah.
he suggested for a time. So I thought, well, he's a pretty busy guy, so I better just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
it's pretty
anyway,
far off too. So yeah, when
oh
Greg
yeah.
said, "Oh, you're available," I'm like, I think. But
See, that's the thing with my schedules. I could tell 3 years from now whether I'm working or
yeah,
not. It's just a rotating
well,
thing, right? So
well, I'm definitely not working that day. But in terms of, does Ruth have an appointment that she has to
yeah,
go to, or
yep,
are we going to be doing anything with family? It's a month and a half out. I
yeah,
have no
yeah,
idea. We
yep.
barely know
So
what's happening this weekend.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah. So hopefully you can make it for that, Dave. And
Hmm.
but if not,
Oh no,
it'll
I'll
be out.
definitely try. We'll definitely try. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, tell folks where they can find you.
Sure, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter. I would say most social media is Prof Pod. On TikTok is Prof Pod PGH, and on Facebook is Dave Podner Jr.
Alrighty. And you can find me on well, the best place, like I always say, is about.me/McMillan. That's got all my online links there, but you can find me in a few different Facebook groups for the podcast Facebook group, Shane Mostyn's Bloody Legends, and now Explorers of Life. Dave's there too.
Hmm.
You can check us out there now. Explorers of Life is a private group. You have to be invited. So if you want an invitation, let me know, and I'll send one to you, or Dave could send one to you. And
Hmm.
uh, it's a fun group, just like all the other ones. There everybody has a good time posting pictures, and it's a great place for learning, because what I'm finding is people that are in there, some of them are just using their iPhones. They've only started using them recently, and they're really getting a kick out of what they're able to do with them. So, fun place to be. So, alrighty, well, that's it for now, and thanks, Dave, for
Oh,
the
thanks so much.
bit about Nocturne. That's good.
Oh
That's
yeah,
got me going on that one now. I'm going to give it a try.
it's
And I
always
guess
nice to try new stuff.
Oh yeah,
Always fun to try new stuff. Keep it
yeah, for
interesting.
sure. Yep. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll see you on the next one.
Sounds good. Have a great one, everyone.